Hey guys, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
We're two lifelong friends and musicians, but when we're not playing gigs, we like to talk games.
And today on the Game and Gig podcast, Nintendo Mania is running wild, brother, as we speculate all about the successor to the Nintendo Switch and discuss what Nintendo just said in their investor meeting.
Well, welcome into the Game and Gig podcast. You may notice things have changed a little bit. We are now recording the podcast live on Thursday night, and it's going to YouTube on Fridays. So, used to be Mondays, now it's Fridays. So that's the only thing that's changed. But we're excited about it. And today we're starting things off with a chat, or actually pretty much everything we're talking about today is the Nintendo investor briefing, the meeting they did to kind of inform their investors of what's going on. All this crazy stuff came out about the Nintendo Switch 2. Found out lots of stuff.
Yeah. Can we actually start using this name, Randy? Because I'm not ready. Honestly, I don't think I'm ready.
Well, we don't know what it's going to be called. I guess what the colloquial term for it is the Switch 2. Although there are rumors that someone has seen the back of the Switch and it says the logo is Switch 2. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you know, if I was a betting man, I might bet on Switch 2, to be honest with you.
I think I would too. Also based on something that was said in this meeting, I think I would also bet on that. But I still try to be quite careful. I actually did let a Switch 2 slip fairly recently in a stream or something. But I have since corrected my behavior. So I'm still on successor to the Nintendo Switch until I get a name, damn it.
Well, that's what Nintendo's calling it, the successor to the Nintendo Switch. And we found out a number of really interesting things. Probably the thing that has drawn the most attention is that confirmed 100%, Nintendo has said it, it's going to be backwards compatible with the current Switch.
Yeah, that's a win. You know, that's something that I don't think either one of us have really necessarily been nervous about that. I think we've both been pretty confident that it was coming. But that is a great confirmation to get, and I know that makes people feel better about maybe continuing to buy Switch games, and that's a good thing. You know, if the Switch has such a great library, it would suck if we couldn't bring it over.
Like you said, I assumed it was going to happen. They were not 100% sure. I mean, like the Nintendo Switch obviously wasn't backwards compatible with the Wii U, but I mean, it was so different, completely different form factor. I guess we could have expected maybe the Nintendo Switch to maybe be backwards compatible with earlier handhelds, but they were a dual screen and the Switch isn't. So really, like, it didn't make any sense at all. But this next one, right, if they're going to continue with the idea, like, got to be backwards compatible, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. And they've spent so much time, you know, selling people the same games over and over again so that they could bring their library to the Switch. What a jerk move would it be if you couldn't play it on the system that they're going to release? I don't know, either tomorrow or in the next year. I don't know, somewhere in between, I'm going to guess.
Well, we'll get to that. We'll get to when we expect an announcement later on in the podcast. But, you know, like when I find out that this is going to be backwards compatible, my first thing is like, one, why did they tell us this now? Mm-hmm. You know, why are they telling investors this? Like, is it to try to ease investors' minds? Obviously. But it makes me wonder, like, is this going to help the current Switch? Like, because it's going into a holiday season where they probably want to sell a bunch of Nintendo Switches. Is it going to help or is it going to hurt by saying the next one's backwards compatible?
Well, you know, Randy, I don't know the answer to that, but I'll tell you who does.
Who's that? Yeah.
The G&G faithful, Randy. We asked him. We said, will backwards compatibility on Nintendo's next console help or hurt sales of the current Nintendo Switch? And 84% people said it's going to help it. 5% said it's going to hurt. And 11% said it will have no impact.
It's pretty overwhelming, you know, like, which is weird because I wouldn't, in my mind, I think like if it's backwards compatible, it kind of makes me be like, well, I don't have to worry about getting a Switch if I'm, you know, if I haven't bought one yet. Because I think, you know, the new one's coming out. I might as well wait. Like, I might as well because it's not like the games that are coming out right now I won't be able to play on. I will. So I'm like, well, what's the rush? That's my thought.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. It's hard for me to imagine I don't know. It's a weird scenario to be like this late in the Switch, in the Switch's life, and still be considering buying one. And so it's kind of hard for me to put myself in that headspace. But I think I agree with you. It'd make me feel okay about the games, but I'm not sure I'd rush out and buy a console.
Yeah. Well, in terms of the idea of how if people who haven't bought a Switch yet, but are still like on the fence about buying one, surprisingly, there are people who haven't bought one that still want one.
Mm-hmm.
And we have a poll we'll go to later on that
Yeah, yeah.
actually we get those numbers and find out. But it's for
Yeah.
sure it's at least some people
Mm-hmm.
still want to switch and don't have one.
That's a
So
hell of a teaser.
yeah, but it's strange because most people are saying it's going to help. And I guess the reasoning would be behind that is that if you haven't bought a Switch yet, you may be worried that, like, oh, I don't want to buy a Switch and invest in software that's going to be, out of date in a year, because that system's not even going to be, the main system anymore. And I guess
Mm-hmm.
if you know it's going to be backwards compatible, you might think, well, I guess I'll go ahead and buy it and start getting my software library going because I'll be able to play those games, on the new system when it comes out.
Mm-hmm. So you're saying that because people will not be worried about being able to play the games they're going to buy, that they would just buy the console anyway if they're interested. Is that what you're saying?
I guess what I'm saying is like you don't have to have the anxiety of building a library that's going to
Mm-hmm.
become obsolete in a year because you know that
Right.
all your games will at least be able to transfer over. So at least your software library is going to go with you.
Right. And for that reason, I agree with you that maybe that is the rationale, with it helping sales. Because how can it, I guess,
I
how could it
think.
hurt? I mean,
Yeah. I
I
mean,
don't
it's
really see
like,
how that could hurt. Unless you're
maybe it
saying,
builds
unless
some
people are
hype.
saying that if they, because they know it's backwards compatible, they're just going to wait. And I think that it probably is legit for some people too.
Yeah.
Because they know the next console is coming eventually.
And then there's always the option that it just does nothing. That this has no impact on the sales of the current Switch, which is probably where I would have eventually landed because I would have him and hawed over. Oh, maybe it'll help, maybe it'll hurt, maybe it'll just have no impact. Um,
Hmm.
and when I voted on our Discord poll on this question, this is what I voted. I voted for no impact.
I think I voted for help sales. I don't remember. I either voted for help sales or I forgot to vote. I think it's one of those two. And
I
we
could
got a
have
live
gone either
comment
way,
here.
right?
We got a live comment here from Benjamin Darling who said, "I think most players often don't go back to previous systems much when they get the new one. Having it backwards compatible allows you to go back to those games while just working on one piece of hardware." And yeah, I mean, I think that's the big argument for backwards compatibility. Just beyond simple game preservation is convenience.
Totally. I mean, like I can't think of how many PS4 games I've played on PS5.
Right.
And Xbox, it's backwards compatible all the way to the original Xbox, the Series X is. So it's pretty incredible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
All
it's
right, man.
nice
You
to
ready?
have all those machines that'll do everything. But yeah, I'm ready to move on.
Well, I mean, we don't have to, but we got some great comments here.
We
So let's
do.
hear the
We
first
really
one
do.
here. Hit us with Plague Doctor, Randy.
Yeah, Plague Doctor says without backwards compatibility, Nintendo would need at least one game on par with Breath of the Wild at launch if they want the same success the Switch had. And this is really interesting to me because it really says like the Switch wasn't backwards compatible, but it had Breath of the Wild and it was a system seller. I don't know if they can recreate it.
I don't think you recreate Breath of the Wild. You might have another Breath of the Wild moment eventually, but I don't know how you recreate that. But and Breath of the Wild was also a Wii U game before, so it would be like
Not
I don't
before
know.
it released. It released day of. It released on the Switch launch day as on both Wii
Oh,
U
and it
and
was,
Switch.
but it was just cross gen then.
It was cross gen. It was not on Wii U
Ah,
previously.
okay. Well, there you go. You're gonna have Metroid Prime 4. There you go. End of story. It's all good.
That could be a thing. Metroid Prime 4 could be the game, but I don't think Metroid Prime 4 would even be close to being
Okay.
on the level of
Uh,
Breath of the Wild.
okay. Okay. Hear me out. 3D Donkey Kong.
I mean, you never know. I really don't think we're going to get 3D Donkey Kong, but
Donkey of
that
the
would be
Wild.
cool. Donkey of the Wild?
Mm-hmm.
Now that would be if we got a Donkey Kong game in the style of Breath of the Wild called Donkey
Donkey,
of the Wild. I would
Breath
love
of the
that.
Kong, Breath of the Kong. Like it writes itself.
We got Benjamin here who is just trying to subliminally message the people who are watching this on YouTube after the fact. Benjamin, thank you. You are amazing.
I
I'm
love
not going to
that.
read it out loud. I'll let that be a present. And if you're listening to the audio version of this, let's just say Benjamin is telling you to subscribe and like.
He is. We love that. Thank you, Benjamin. No, I'm just joking though. Obviously, Breath of the Kong would be nowhere near Breath of the Wild.
Breath of
If
the
it was if it
Kong.
was if it was Tears of the Diddy, maybe we'd be talking about something legitimate here. But
What if it, I
I'm
mean,
with
they
y'all.
could just call it Donkey of the Kong. Like I could see him.
Donkey of the Kong,
Yeah,
Donkey of the Kong, Hyrule Country.
yeah. I would love that.
That's
But I
hilarious.
mean, like, but saying like the game. Okay, we know it's backwards compatible now, so we don't have to worry about this scenario and with like what game would they. But just for fun,
Mm-hmm.
what game could they put out realistically that
Okay.
would be on the same level as that like Breath of the Wild launch title?
So you want me to be real?
Real, not Donkey of the Kong.
Okay. Clearly, I'm the only person with enough faith in Donkey Kong to put that forward as a real answer. So I'll pivot. Okay. I would say the only thing they would have that could do it would be Smash.
Smash.
Hit me with Smash.
Ooh. If they
Day one,
Smash
new
as a launch
Smash.
title is an interesting idea because there's never been a Nintendo console that launched with Smash.
It's time, baby.
It's time. It's time for Smash to prove itself as a
Super
launch
Smash
title.
Bros. Ultimate.
Ultimate or I still holding out for a remake of Melee. I think remake and or re-release of Melee, like Melee 2025 edition. Like I think that would do well.
I would just absolutely. I mean, I've said this before. I would just absolutely crap if that happened. Like, I would be so happy. That would be amazing. And honestly, Smash was also kind of a joke because I know it's not going to be a launch title. This Mario Kart 9 that Benjamin mentions, that's probably going to be legit. I'm thinking, but I
Yeah.
don't think it's a Breath of the Wild moment.
No.
I think
Well,
the only
here's the
thing that
thing.
they could maybe come close with is if they actually did drop the sickest 3D Mario ever.
Yep.
They could have something huge with that. That's a
If
real
they
answer.
Yeah, that really, if they do Mario Kart 9 and a 3D Mario at launch, obviously it's a very heavy Mario launch. But if they do that, if those two games are at launch, it will be huge. And I think they could make it successful even without it being backwards compatible. But luckily, we don't have to worry about that scenario.
Right. Okay. You want to hear another comment?
Yes.
All right. We got one here from Slargo, who said, without backwards compatibility, it would be years before I consider buying one. Now I want one day one. Big old smiley emoji. So before we even talk about the content of the comment, I would just like to point out that the words without backwards compatibility were the first three words of both of these comments. And when I was building these scenes in Streamlabs, that kept tripping me up because I kept thinking I accidentally had the same picture in two different scenes. Because I would just like glance at it and then go to the next one and I'd be like, crap, that was the same one. It happened to me more than once. So thank you for that, Slargo.
Hey, but very different sentiment here, and an interesting topic because I think the idea is that if it's not backwards compatible, a lot of people just wait a few years and wait until the software is there. Wait until there's a really good choice of games. And but if it's backwards compatible, your choice of games are the thousands and thousands of games that are already on Nintendo Switch, which is a lot of fantastic games.
Oh yeah. I mean, it's got like one of the sickest libraries ever. I mean, everybody talks about it. Like it's not a secret.
Probably
So,
the best library ever. Probably.
clearly the best library ever on the best system ever. I mean,
I
let's
mean,
just
like you
double
could argue
down
that
here.
like Steam, it's a better library.
That's not a
Or you-
system.
no, it's not a system. It's like a platform, but yeah,
Steam is extremely cross-gen.
extremely.
Yeah. So yeah,
So I
I
mean,
agree. It's like the best library ever, and I mean, talk about what an added bonus that is. Say if somebody jumps in successor to
Hmm.
Nintendo Switch day one, they pick up Mario Kart, they play Mario Kart for a while, they still have all these Switch games that they can maybe go back and find. Maybe a little cheaper. I don't know. Maybe you can find some used ones. Maybe they skyrocket. Who knows? But that's great. That's just
And
great.
they'll play better potentially. They'll maybe run
Did they
better.
say
They
that?
might be able to use some AI upscaling so they play at 4K, or maybe they have better frame rate. Like it could be amazing.
Did they say that? Have they mentioned
No,
anything like
that's
that?
not one of the things that they have said. No, that's not one
Okay.
of the things that we have confirmed, unfortunately.
That would be
But
so great. Imagine if you could play Tears of the Kingdom and it didn't drop frames when you used Ultra Hand.
or Echoes of Wisdom. Let's just all the Legend of Zelda games that just
Yes.
run like crap for no reason on the Switch. Um, let's get those fixed.
Yes. Yes. All right.
Let's move on here. We got a comment from D1 Usions.
That's right.
I love that name so much.
I do
Uh,
too.
says backwards compatibility is always a bonus. Unfortunately, since Nintendo games don't really go down in price, a new player can't just load up on a bunch of cheap Switch games coming over. And that's kind of like I guess the downside. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering, will we see Switch games drop in price when Switch 2 comes out?
Well, I kind of mentioned that in the last comment, and I mean, I think you'll see it a little, but the really big games, I don't know that we will. I don't know when Tears of the Kingdom is going to be in the bargain bin. You know?
I just don't see it. I don't.
Yeah.
I might could see them making Nintendo Switch games $10 cheaper.
Yeah.
Like Tears of the Kingdom will be $60. Breath of the Wild will be 50 finally. Maybe. But I could at the same time see them not dropping it because they say, hey, Switch games are already cheaper than Switch 2 games because I bet you Switch 2 games are going to be $70 across the board for all the big ones. I think they're
Mm-hmm.
going to go to that higher price. So they
Yep.
may just be like, hey, they are cheaper.
Right. Yeah. And you know what? If you buy Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom for $110, I would argue that's one of the best values in gaming.
Definitely. But I mean, there are a lot of Switch games that are not worth
No,
the
and you
price.
shouldn't buy those. You should buy Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. But I don't know. That is kind of sad to think about. Y'all are kind of making me sad. I don't know. I think it'd be cool to get cheap games, but it's probably not coming.
Benjamin here saying, don't hold your breath. They'll let it go out of stock before they drop the price. Oh, that's another thing. It's like, what about the price of the Switch? What about the price of the current Switch once Switch 2 comes out? Is it going to see a price cut or is it going to stay the same price?
You know, I don't know. It's never had a price cut, right?
No, never had a price cut. I mean, you could consider like the Black Friday deals where they sell it for the same price but include a game bundled in. I guess you could call that a price cut. But really,
Yeah.
no, nothing.
So, probably not, because the next system's just going to be a little more expensive. So it's just going to make the Switch seem cheaper, even though it's not.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking we die with the Switch, the base Switch model, the red box sitting there for $300.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Nintendo knows what they got.
Oh yeah, they definitely know what they got, and I mean they've sold so many. I think if they really wanted to try to like they in this part of the investors briefing they announced that Switch sales weren't as good as they thought they would be, so they had to lower their projection by like I think it was like a third,
Hmm.
which is pretty significant, saying that Switches are selling about 60% that they thought they were as much as they thought they would be, and it's like why not drop the price and get some more sales? Because I guarantee you drop the price, so you're gonna have those people who want it that don't have it yet. You're gonna tempt them in.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Do you think they're even worried about their sales? I
No,
mean,
they don't
we do
care.
kind of have
They're
a comment that addresses this later, but
yeah.
I
Think
don't
they
necessarily
care.
think they are.
I really don't think they do. I think
Yeah,
they realize how much money they're making, and that's all. They're like, hey, things are going good. Their
yeah,
their numbers are looking good. Yeah.
yeah. I agree. All right, we got another comment here from randomized YouTuber who said, if it wasn't backwards compatible, a lot of people wouldn't buy it for that reason, myself included. Besides, this will let them be able to make a cheaper, non backwards compatible version for people to buy if they want to save money. Oh,
Yeah.
I
I
hadn't
mean,
thought
like
about, different variations like that.
I know. I don't think they're gonna do that. That's why I wanted to talk about this comment. Because like one, I think that yeah, some people wouldn't buy it if it was not backwards compatible, but I don't know how many people wouldn't buy it. And then this non backwards compatible like a version of it would be. I don't see that being a move that they do.
I don't either. And they also that's not what they said. You know, they said this thing's backwards compatible, full stop. So
Yeah.
I don't think that's going to happen either. But a little more doom and gloom.
I mean, they could make a digital version, like an all
Yeah,
digital that doesn't have that only your games that you purchased on this, like Nintendo Switch Online, which they
right.
also announced that Nintendo Switch Online is transferring over, which is really cool.
Yes, and they didn't mention a name change, which again makes me think that Switch 2 is probably what we're getting.
Exactly. Exactly. Let's see here. We have some live comments from Benjamin who says it'll stay the same. Switch 2 will be an increase, probably 400. I don't know about price. 400 is where if I had to put money on it. That being said, historically, recently, I've been $50 off low. So if
Yeah.
it was 450, I wouldn't be surprised.
Same. Honestly, anywhere between 4 and 5, and I'm not really shocked.
Yeah, I don't
Above
see it being
5, and I'll be
500.
surprised.
I just don't see it being 500. I think Nintendo has always been somewhat of the budget brand. And
Hmm.
so they're looking at the consoles that are out now and say, okay, the PlayStation 5, the Xbox Series X, they're $500. We can't be $500. Or all of
Yeah.
a sudden they're not the budget brand anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're probably right. Um, but, you know, you can also spend more than $500 to get you a PlayStation these days. Um,
As of today,
yeah, so I'm with you. I don't really think they'll hit 5. But I wouldn't just like lose my damn mind if they did. Like it wouldn't shock me that much. But I think they will probably keep it in the 4.
yeah,
Maybe
I'm thinking
499.99.
Yeah, that's how they get me.
Yeah,
It's like I wouldn't have handled 500 even, but 499.99. I'm like, okay, you know, it does seem a little better. I
that's
think I'm
right.
gonna do it.
That's right.
But I don't know. I think that all the versions of it will be backwards compatible. I could see a digital version that doesn't take your Switch cartridges, which I would stay away from if it were me
Oh,
personally.
yeah, same. I've got too many Switch cartridges. Can't be doing
Plus,
that.
we know that Switch ain't gonna have no storage on it.
None. No, but you will be able to use you an SD card, micro SD card.
No, I think that the rumors were like that it was gonna have maybe like a hundred and something gigs, or maybe even 200 something gigs of storage. Like it was a significant bump over what we're
Yeah.
at now. I think the OLED model has 64 gigs
Does that have
right
that
now.
much?
I think so. I think it got a pretty big bump
Oh, okay.
when over the regular Switch.
Yeah. Well, you know, you can pick up a micro SD card pretty cheap on Amazon a lot of the time, especially if it's like a Prime Day or something like that. So, honestly, I'm not worried about the storage, but I am glad that it got a bump.
Same.
All right, we got one more comment here. You ready for it?
Yes.
All right, hit us with Celeria Rose.
Okay, yeah. Slayer says the Switch has already sold like hotcakes. I don't think Nintendo is that worried about console sales of the Switch at this point. I doubt it even matters much to them if people choose to not to buy the original Switch as opposed to just picking up the Switch 2. And there you go. I
Yeah,
think that they probably, by saying it's backwards compatible, I think that's what they're kind of giving people the pass. Be like, hey, don't worry. If you just want to wait for it, you can wait for it.
that's the way it feels. I feel like Nintendo's just got a lot of swagger right now, and they ain't scared. And they're just doing what they think makes the most sense. And it's hard to see it as it happens, but you know, hindsight's 2020, and maybe once we're finally playing our new Switches, we'll be able to look back and be like, oh, this is why they waited so long. Oh, this is why they did this. You know, we'll be able to look in the rearview mirror.
They're definitely confident, but it feels weird, right? It really feels strange that they're doing it this way. Like they're drip feeding information about it, and we have some more information in a minute that we'll go over what else they said, but they're just kind of giving us a little bit of info at a time. And I know at the investors briefing, like we knew there was gonna be something, but like this strange thing, like okay, it's gonna be backwards compatible. Nintendo Switch Online will be there. It will move over. Like people's accounts will move over. why are they doing this in the holiday season? Like, we're literally in the time when they should be pushing the original Switch so hard. Why are they even mentioning it?
I don't know. I mean, we all kind of thought we would already know something, at least get a reveal, of the next system by now, and then we didn't get it. So everybody's like, oh, well, they probably don't want to hurt their holiday sales. They're probably not going to do it till after the holidays. But then they still just keep, like you said, kind of drip feeding us information. So that's what I mean by, like, I think it's just damn it. I don't think we can make sense of this, Randy. I think all we can
No.
do is hang on to our asses and just, like, get ready to write a check one day, just some random ass Tuesday. I don't know, man. I don't know.
Yeah.
You can't tell what Nintendo's thinking. Nintendo always does what we don't think they're going to do. That's where we're at.
Benjamin here has written a straight up marketing strategy for Nintendo. So Nintendo, take note here, calling it the Switch Up, and with saying that it's the same great hybrid experience you've come to expect from Nintendo, but now upgraded with the new Switch. There's nowhere to go but up. And I'm telling you, that's a slogan that Nintendo, they're going to steal it from you, Benjamin. You better watch out.
Switch up. With the new Switch, there's nowhere to go but up.
And
then they show that little dude from the Pixar movie Up. They tug on everybody's heartstrings, and they just count their money.
as we all cry over
Yeah.
the dude from Up.
That's right.
Well, we're talking all about this Nintendo Switch 2, saying, like, is it going to help sales of the current Switch? Is it going to hurt sales of the current Switch? But the question is it doesn't matter at all if everyone who wants a Switch already has a Switch. So we wanted to find out, do you own a Nintendo Switch? We put out a poll about it. Daniel, here's
That's
the
right.
results.
Okay. I'm not going to hit anybody, but I'll read them. We said, do you own a Nintendo Switch? 62% said yes, I own one. 11% said yes, I own more than one, you big dummy. 13% said no, but I would like to have one. And 14% said no, I'm not interested in the Switch.
Anything surprise you about this poll?
No, no, not really. Most people seem to have one. There's a few people, 73% in total say yes.
That's pretty good.
I'm not
that is
surprised
surprising.
I'm not surprised that was surprising to you. That 75% of people who voted on our poll, or 73%.
Well, maybe not on our poll. I guess if I extrapolate that, I know that 70, close to 75% of gamers, all gamers, don't own a Switch. But
yeah,
okay, it is a little. I understand gaming gig, but we love Nintendo around here.
yeah, and the Switch is awful popular. So I mean, no, this didn't surprise me that it was lopsided, and I'm also not surprised that 14% said no, I'm not interested, because it's weak and underpowered, and some people just say, we'll just not get on board with that. So
Right.
I wasn't surprised by any of this.
I think the number that shocked me the most was the 13% of people who voted in this who don't have one yet, but still want one. It's like, that's still
Right.
a decent number of people who potentially want to buy a Nintendo Switch.
Right. So 86% of the total poll either has one, has more than one, or sure would like one. So pretty overwhelming numbers there. Everybody likes their Zeldas and their Marios, man.
I know. It just shows it's all about the games. It's all about the games. This is why the Switch is done well. Yes, the concept is good. But the actual piece of hardware really isn't all that special. It's basically a tablet with detachable controllers, but it's all about the games that you can play on it.
Yeah. Well, it's a perfect storm, in my opinion. I think the hardware ushered in a whole eye-opening revolution as far as handheld gaming and hybrid gaming. And then in addition to that, it just happens to have some of the best games ever. It's just such a perfect storm. So yeah, I mean, it's nothing special from a hardware perspective, from a power perspective, but it was such a unique and revolutionary thing. It kind of grabbed everybody. It grabbed me.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we have some comments here, but before we get to that, Benjamin commented and said, I own two, a Switch and a Switch Lite. That's where I'm at too. Switch OLED and a Switch Lite.
I was in the same place before I sold Randy my Switch Lite.
Yep. Now I have to have Daniel's secondhand Switch Lite, which was a secondhand to him as well. So this
Yeah,
Switch Lite has been around. This is the sisterhood of the traveling Switch Lite.
Yeah, but she's a keeper. You know, I love the Switch Lite. I realized when I had it that there were things I liked about both, and it's like when I was playing one of them, I always kind of was like, man, it'd be kind of cool to play this on the other one. And so I was like, I was almost like choice paralysis. But then, in addition to that, I just was like, damn, this OLED screen is so nice. So I just basically
Yeah.
eventually just started only playing that. So, but there's
I,
two of
I
y'all, and so I remember the whole reason you wanted to pick up the Switch Lite was because of like, you know, y'all be able to play games at the same time and things like
yeah.
that. So that was just a good fit.
It was really when uh, Tears of the Kingdom was out, and we were both
Hmm.
wanting to play Nintendo Switch at the same time, and so that was convenient. In fact, but I did play the Switch Lite today. I played it this morning.
Man, Switch
It's kind of
Lite
the
with the
one I
old
grab when I want to play in handheld.
Switch Lite with the old Satisfy grip, really hard to beat.
Oh yeah, yeah, hard to beat.
All right,
Let's go
we
move
got
on
one
here. We got
comment here.
Landon.
All right,
Yeah,
hit us with Landon there, Grandpa.
yeah. Landon says I still have the original Switch. I'm trying to hold out for the successor of the Nintendo Switch, but man, the OLED would be great. And yep, the OLED is super nice.
I
Love it.
have I have so much respect for the way Landon wrote this comment. Um, First of all, this man has integrity. He referred to it as the successor of the Nintendo Switch. That's a classy move. Um, but then in
He
addition
knows
to
his
that,
audience.
absolutely. And then in addition to that, Landon, I agree with you. The OLED would be great. So, hell of a good comment. And I hope try to be strong. But Randy's right. OLED's pretty sick.
It is, but at this point, really, I would wait. Just because,
Easy for Randy to say when he can look over and see his OLED Switch.
yeah, I know. I know I'm saying that from a point of like someone who has it, but I feel like if I didn't have it and I had the regular one, I feel like I would still just wait. You
I
know?
agree with what Randy's saying, but
the,
I also
the
have an OLED.
the OLED switches are nice. They're really, really nice, but they do functionally, they're no different.
Hmm. Do you remember the day we got our OLEDs, Randy? I remember
Um,
we've talked about this on the podcast before, but basically you got yours several hours earlier than I got mine because I went after I got off work.
mhm.
And basically when I got home, I think you called me. I might have called you, but one of us called the other, and we just like gushed about how beautiful the screen was. We were like the blacks are so black, like the contrast is ridiculous, and the colors pop so much, and we just
Yeah,
like gushed for like 10 minutes, and then we were both like, okay, I'm hanging up because I want to play, and I'm assuming at that point we both just played a lot of Switch. I know I did.
yeah. We got Cryptic Skills here saying, hey, Cryptic, hey, tell us
Hey,
about your
Cryptic.
experience with the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I guess the next question is, when do we expect to actually get an announcement? When do we expect a release of Switch 2?
Yeah, well, I mean, I know that Nintendo said it will be revealed by the end of the fiscal year, which is like April or something, right?
Yes, exactly. So we know for
Yeah.
sure Nintendo has said that the announcement will definitely be before the end of
Hmm.
the fiscal year, which ends at the end of March, so the beginning of April, essentially.
So we
So
we only
we know
have,
that
we have 5 months ish, left for them to potentially
max.
make an announcement. Yeah. At this point, I kind of think it's coming after the new year, after the holidays, but I
Yeah,
hope it's tomorrow.
I would have said that. I would have said. I mean, I think in my gut it comes like they say it's going to be before the end of the fiscal year. My gut is that this announcement's going to be like later than even like after the like January. It's going to be like March, like mid March. They're going to announce it. Like my gut's telling me that, and then it's a holiday release. But I mean, like at the same time, to play devil's advocate, why are they telling us all this stuff in the investor briefing
Hmm.
if they're trying to like save their holiday season? Are they assuming that like only the diehards care about Nintendo investor briefings and like general public who are buying these things probably don't hear or care about any of this stuff? Maybe.
Yeah, man, When I listen to your plan there, I just really hope it's not true because that would mean that it's going to be over a year before we can finally buy one of these damn things.
It'll probably be about this time
Um,
next year.
yeah,
Might
okay, you're
be
right. Holiday
October or
season.
something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. So, I mean, that is kind of realistic. Not gonna lie,
Well,
but
it's just like it
I
just seems like everything's just been like just imagine what you want it to be and then get disappointed a little bit, and that's probably what it's actually going to be.
exactly because right now I'm like, man, I hope I can buy this thing in like March. And if you just
Of course,
push
we were
that back
saying this
about half a
last
year,
year.
yeah, I know.
We thought for sure last year that by this time we were going to be playing Switch 2s. We are not. We haven't even heard about it yet.
Right. And you think it's going to be like roughly another year before we're playing Switch? How many years would that make the Switch old? Would that be nine
Well, it
years?
came out in March of 2017. So 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 would be the eight. It'd be 8.5 years old.
8.5 years old. Okay.
Almost 9 years.
Well, I
Whew.
mean, she's got a lot of life left to give. I mean, I understand
Mm-hmm.
that, but I don't know, man. I do think it's going to be after the new year when we hear about it, and I'm hoping that they sell them earlier than that. But you're probably right.
You never know. We got Benjamin here hitting us with the Switch saga,
Yeah,
saying I bought one in 2020, sold it after 6 months, traded my Series S for two Switch Lights. That's interesting.
that
Then I
is.
bought an OLED in 2023, then returned it after 2 weeks, sold one of my Switch Lights, and then I bought a regular Switch last December. 5 Switches in 4 years. Benjamin's keeping the Switch economy going.
I love that, Benjamin. I love stories and tales of haggling. I loved it. I just imagine that you're like, how you hear those stories about a guy who started with like $1 and ended at like a house. That's just what I imagine. Except you started at a Switch and ended at a Switch. You know,
No, ended with two Switches.
you're right. You're right. You
It,
started with a Switch and ended with a Switch and a Switch Lite.
hey, what I want, I mean, like so many people got into the Switch in 2020 because like
Hmm.
everybody I knew wanted to Switch in 2020 to play like Animal Crossing or just because they were at home and they were like, I want to get into video games. So
Yeah.
so many people bought a Switch.
Hmm. Man, that was such a fun time too. The Switch is special, man. I don't know. I'll miss
It
it when
is.
it's gone, but I'm so excited for something new. But
Yeah,
not too new. Just I want an iterative improvement, which is what we're apparently getting, and I'm so excited.
absolutely. If you look at the picture we have on screen right now, this is by the way the 3D printing of the leak that we got. Like someone made a 3D print, they printed it out and compared it to the original Switch. So this is apparently what it looks like, which is hardly any different. It's just bigger.
And it looks quite a bit bigger, but I also think the angle of the picture isn't doing the perspective any favors. It's not like perfectly top down,
Yeah,
but
we're
you can
closer
tell.
to the big Switch than we are the little
Yeah,
Switch.
but you can tell it's a lot bigger. I'll tell you what's got me not happy, and I mean everybody knows I don't like Joy-Con, but the biggest problem ergonomically is like that right stick is so close to and right directly below the buttons, and that just doesn't look like it's going to be any better. But
Well, that's been a problem with the Switch the whole time.
I know.
So
I just wish, since they maybe have a little more room, I just wish they'd switched it up a little bit. But they didn't. Also, hitting the minus button is really tough for me because I always hit the stick.
you need to work on your finger
No,
agility. Your
there's
fingers
no
aren't
way.
nimble. Your
There's
fingers
no
are
way
just
you're
not
telling
nimble.
me. There's no way you're telling me that hitting that minus button is easy without touching the stick, without like just mashing the stick. Like,
Not mashing it. I might grace the stick when I'm pressing the
oh
minus
please,
button.
might graze the stick. Nothing. Graze the stick. Okay.
I ain't mashing down the stick when I press the minus button, dude. I ain't doing that.
Well, my thumbs are big.
I know. You have these big old meaty thumbs. Can't even press the minus button on the Switch.
Look at him. Look at them
He's
things.
got to he's got to reach across with his right hand to press the minus button.
He's a grown man trying to hit a tiny button. Thank you, Benjamin. That's exactly the problem. And it's been a problem for what's going to end up being like 8.5 damn years. And then, plus, God, I'm wound
Well,
up now.
Daniel, what guys? We're adding back the "What are we playing" section to the main podcast. This is something that we had brought over into the bonus episodes but we're adding something new in the bonus episodes, and we're bringing back the what we are playing section to the main podcast. So,
Yep.
Daniel, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I will start with what I have been playing less, and then we'll talk.
Okay.
So I've been playing Deep Rock Galactic Survivor, and I love it. That game is really fun. That's an excellent survivor. Like, if you enjoy Vampire Survivors or anything like it, you'll love Deep Rock Galactic Survivor. I know that's kind of a guess the game style promo, but it's true. It's just really great. It's really well done, and it still feels unique with like the Deep Rock stuff that they brought in. You know, you're still mining. You're still a dwarf that shoots guns. You're still fighting bugs. It feels very Deep Rock, but it plays like Vampire Survivors more or less, and I just love that because I'm a big fan of Vampire Survivors. So
Uh, I've never played Vampire Survivors, never played a survivor like. They look fun. They look kind of like both extremely hectic, yet also chill at the same time, which is cool.
that's a good way to describe them. That
They look, I
a
mean, they
survivor.
look crazy, but I know they're very hands off.
They are. I mean, in the pure survivor likes, all you do is move. You know, like in Vampire Survivors, you don't have to do anything except move. Same thing in Deep Rock. So it is chill, but there's also a lot of strategy, and it's very deep. It kind of like I heard somebody describe them one time as like it's a tower defense game, but you're the tower and you can move, and that's kind of what it feels like. You're just mowing down screens full of enemies, big numbers. It's a great feeling. Um, and I cannot believe that you've never played Vampire Survivors. You've never played
I
Vampire Survivors and you've never played Balatro. That is insane.
never played Balatro, never played Vampire Survivors. All the indie darlings.
Does Randy hate
Just
indie games?
no, I don't hate indie games.
I'm starting to think Randy just hates indie games.
I think one of my favorite games I have played this year, maybe my favorite game I have played this year, was an indie game, and that's Animal Well.
Yeah. I, and that's an easy one to say because everybody loves Animal Well.
Dude, everybody loves Vampire Survivors. Everybody loves, what else did you say? Balatro. These are
That's
games
right.
everybody loves.
I know that. Yet you have avoided them because you hate indie games.
I
Unless
just have, there's
Donkey
so many
tells you to
games
play
to
it.
play.
Unless
There's,
Donkey tells you to play it.
okay, 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 Rude. Of course I'm
Okay.
going to play what Donkey tells me to play.
Oh,
My
same
Lord
here.
and Savior Donkey.
And what a hell of a game it was. I mean, I ain't trying to trash on no Animal Well. I love Animal Well. But those other two are some pure indie darlings. You're right. I can't recommend them enough. But so I've been playing that. but but I have also been playing a lot of Pokemon TCG Pocket. I am hopelessly addicted. I'm here. Uh, my name is Daniel. I'm a Pokemon TCG Pocket addict, and this is my story. I guess I don't know. I'm trying to be dramatic. I've just played it a lot.
Yeah, I have also been playing Pokemon TCG Pocket. Not as much as you. It hasn't hooked me the same way. I need to play it some more. What I've played has been really fun. I think that it's got some cool stuff. I think it's kind of like got two things going on. It's card collecting, but it's also battling, and
Yes.
both aspects are done really well. I
Yep.
think it's really fun, and so I've been playing it, but I also went back and played Pokemon trading card game for Game Boy this week to kind of compare and contrast what it was like to play the trading card game that I grew up with.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to go play that because it is really, in fact, I think the battling is better in the Game Boy trading card game because it's just more involved. It's not like Pocket is simplified, and
Yeah.
the actual one feels like it has more strategy. Like you
Mm-hmm.
really have to think a little bit more.
Well, I think they had to make Pocket a little. They had to make the battles a little shorter, so that it would really fit on mobile.
Hmm.
And so that's why the bench is cut down to 3. And it's also different with the energy. the way they handle it in Pocket. But I like that they did that because I don't want the games to take so long on mobile. But and it's still got a lot of strategy. But when you introduce an even bigger bench, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it is deeper because you got to plan for more stuff. You can set up more things at once. I mean, you just got more options, at that point. And I've never played that one, so maybe I'll fire it up on NSO and check it out. But
It's
I am,
super playable even today. I played as a
yeah,
kid and really liked it, so it's like I'm very nostalgic for it. But I think you would enjoy it and seeing what it's the full trading card game experience is like, because it's not a watered down version, at least from what I remember from playing the actual card game versus that.
hmm
But basically, the only difference, you're right. The difference is that it has a bigger bench on the Game Boy one, because you have
hmm
5 Pokemon in your bench instead of 3,
yeah,
and then you have energy cards that are not in Pocket.
right. Now there is still energy in Pocket, but it does handle it differently. You just get an energy every turn,
It's weird.
and
You get an energy
yeah,
every turn, and you know what your next energy is going to be in advance, which is
yes,
strange because if you draw an energy in the original game, you don't know what you're going to get because it's in your deck. So you might draw whatever energy, you might get the one you want. So
hmm
it adds a different level of strategy because you got to be like, okay, I'm planning ahead for when I get that energy.
right. It also probably makes the matches longer. I would
It
imagine.
does makes the match. The matches are much longer than
Yeah.
Pocket. Pocket, the matches can be over in a minute or so if you really want it to, and they can go fast in the Game Boy game too. But sometimes they last quite a while. If you get into like one of those battles where you're just kind of trading back and forth,
hmm
it can take a while.
How many points do you have to get to win?
So it's a little different than in Pocket. You basically, once you've defeated 3 Pokemon, which is 3 points, you win. Or
So
I
you can
suppose
also
if
get
you
2 points
eliminate,
from if you kill
yeah.
an EX Pokemon, you also get 2 points in Pocket.
Oh, really? I didn't even know
hmm
that. I see. I haven't even done enough battles to know that. But so that's strange. But um, so the way it works in the original game is you don't get points. You put out prizes, and different matches can have different number of prizes depending on how long you want the game to be. So a normal match would have 4 prizes. A longer match might have 6 prizes. So, and you get a prize every time you take down a Pokemon. So it can take a while.
So it seems the same though. I mean, you still get something every time you kill a Pokemon. The number just can vary.
Yeah, instead of getting a point, but the cool thing about a prize is it's a card and you add that to your hand. So you get something
Oh,
extra for
oh,
taking down a Pokemon too.
okay. Well, that's pretty neat. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and
Yeah.
also you can end a game by if like say your opponent runs out of Pokemon on their bench, or
hmm
in they run out of Pokemon. And I guess you could also win a game in Pocket that way, but you would
You
have to
could.
like purposely not put your Pokemon down on a bench because that's all you're getting is Pokemon. So,
No, you get. No, man, you get support
oh
cards
yeah,
and stuff.
you getting support cards too. I guess I'm thinking
hmm
like there's never been a time in Pocket where I've not had a Pokemon to put on a bench.
Oh, it definitely happens.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I mean, once you probably haven't really like tried to build a. You probably have you built a deck at all?
I have built decks, but I've only built one deck and it was very balanced. So
Yeah.
I think it was like I think what is it, a 20 card deck?
Yep.
I can't remember how I did it, but I remember thinking like, oh, there's no way. I'm always going to have enough of everything that I need.
So you probably had more Pokemon than a usual deck probably would have. Because
Probably,
in a
probably.
usual deck, like you pretty much you see everybody running like 2 potions, 2 Professor Oaks, 2 Pokeballs. That's 6 cards right there.
Yeah.
Then people are probably like I also like to run 2 X shields, so that's 8. And then I'll also run like 2. So I usually run like 10 and 10. I think I have
Yeah.
like 10 support, 10 Pokemon. But some of
Yeah.
those Pokemon are evolutions, so you can't play
Yeah,
those
that's
on your bench.
risky. It's
Well, it's
risky.
not I mean, it's like it's what you got to do, you know. But with those
You're
other
like,
cards, they help. Like with the 2 Pokeballs, so a Pokeball helps you draw a basic Pokemon. So you're going to get a basic Pokemon if you play a Pokeball, and then
mhm.
Professor Oak draws 2 cards from your deck. So you get a lot of cards. Like you can get screwed, by your draws. Like it can certainly happen, but most of the time it works out. That being
Mhm.
said, I cannot always fill my bench up like immediately.
Right.
And there have been a couple times when like I was able to like get my EX Pikachu out really early and just get that thing rolling. And I did kill them before they were able to fill their bench. But that's probably because they got bad draws, you know. So it's
Right.
rare,
Yeah.
but it can happen.
Yeah. It seems like it is. I haven't like I have not done as much as you, so like I haven't encountered all the situations yet, and I'm interested to see how the strategy is different from the Game Boy or the original actual card game,
Hmm.
because they seem to have done a good job in pocketizing this, pocketizing.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah.
It
Um,
really gives me the Marvel Snap, you know, feeling that I got when I was first playing Marvel Snap. And but I love it because it's Pokemon, and I got a lot of nostalgia for Pokemon. And the opening of the packs, you know, they make such a big deal out of
oh yeah.
that.
Yeah, I
It
like
just
that.
preys on millennial nostalgia.
Yeah, it's like you and the app does a really good job of keeping you on the app. Like I'll open it and I'll be like, I'm just gonna do one little thing, but then it like keeps giving you more things to do. It's like, oh, I gotta do this, okay, I
Yeah.
do this. And I'm always there like 5 to 6 times longer than I expected to be when I open the app.
I've noticed that too. Like how many clicks it makes you make. Like,
Yeah.
but then it'll be like, hey, you can do this too. You know, you'll see that little
Yep.
red dot pop up and be like,
I know I hate those
oh
little
shit,
red
what if I
dots.
can
I'm
open a
like, oh,
pack?
I hate those little red dots because it just keeps me in. Like my little lizard brain can't handle it. Like red dot, click it, find out what's
Yeah.
going on.
And it's a gotcha game. So like, you know, they're trying to get people to spend money, but you know, it's easy not to. But what I'm loving about it is we have so many friends playing it. You know, like so many people on the
Yeah, that's
Discord are
fun.
playing it. I've got multiple people at school playing it. It's just it feels like really active with my little circle right now, and that's pretty much that's what I love the most about it. Honestly, at school we are such nerds. At lunch, you know, I eat lunch the same time as Mitch, aka Zapdos Master. Shout out Zap. And we play every day at lunch, and whoever wins, we call them the reigning gym leader of the high school. And that's the nerdiest crap, but it is so funny, you know, to me as a hyper nerd. And then we've also got another guy that we eat lunch with who just started playing it too. And so like it's just been fun. And I got Frankie playing it. He was playing it today. Um, I just love that. I love it. And we've got a Pokemon TCG Pocket channel on the Discord. This isn't the time to shout out the Discord, but if you join, you can talk in that channel, and it's a hell of a good time.
It is.
Go
Well,
ahead,
you need to
Randy. What
try.
else have
You
you
need
been
to
playing?
try. Yeah, I was gonna say you need to try the Game Boy one. I after I played trading card game for a while, I was like, I wanted to keep the Game Boy thing going. So I also have been playing Doctor Mario on Game Boy, and Doctor Mario is a puzzle game that I have never played. I've always been interested in it, um, because it like from a just like seeing video of it, it kind of
Hmm.
reminded me of some other color matching like games that I've played, like the it's
Candy
like
Crush?
Tetris Attack, or no, not can I've never played Candy Crush. I'm trying to think what
Mahjong?
is. I don't think that's a color matching game.
I think it is something like that, ain't it?
Oh, I don't think so.
Oh,
I think it
my
uses like
my
symbols
dad
and
played it
stuff.
on like Windows XP.
Yeah. But Dr. Mario is super, super fun. I have loved playing. That's what I've been playing as my morning game for the past 2 days. And I'll sit there and play like hours of Dr. Mario. And it is just super addicting. It's difficult, but especially as you get up into the higher levels, I'm just like trying to just play through and beat it at every level. And I think I got to like level 11 today, and maybe
Hmm.
11 of like 20. And it's already so hard. I can't imagine how hard it's going to be any further on. But
Yeah,
have you played any Dr. Mario before?
I've played the mobile Dr. Mario when it came out,
Oh, okay.
and I thought it was fun, but they like limited how much you could play with like these stupid little tokens, and then they wanted you to spend money to get, you know, so that kind of turned me off. But it was fun. So I'm sure Dr. Mario is fun no matter what package you get it in. It's probably pretty
Dude,
similar.
I don't know if they have it like the NES version. I don't know if that's on NSO, but I was playing the Game Boy version, and
Yeah,
super fun, super super fun. But
yeah.
I've also played the DLC for Alan Wake, the new Lake House DLC, and I can't remember if I talked about this last time we were on the podcast because I don't know if I had played it yet or not, but I wanted to bring it up anyway just in case. And it
Yeah.
was not my favorite.
Yeah, I think you said that on a stream recently. I don't know if it was on the pod.
Yeah, I couldn't remember. But it was, like Alan Wake 2, I should say Alan Wake 2 is not just Alan Wake, but Alan Wake 2. That game, I really liked parts of it. I really didn't like parts of it. This DLC just really reminds me of a lot of the parts that I didn't like about the base game. But that being said, it's got very good reviews. A lot of people really like it. And so don't take my opinion as the gospel on this. If you're interested in playing Alan Wake 2's DLC, a lot of people like it. It's just not, I don't know. I'm a little harder on it than I think most people are.
It's not Randy's cup of tea, guys.
No. And then
Anything
Catherine
else?
Catherine and I have been playing Epic Mickey Rebrushed still. So we're still working through that. And that's still very fun, super chill.
And it's still got great box art.
It does still have great box art.
All right, Randy. Well, I think it's about time to wrap this puppy up. But before we do, I just want to remind everybody, I mentioned it earlier, we have a Discord server. It's a great place to hang out. It's very inviting, very welcoming. And yes, when trading gets added to TCG Pocket, we will be trading on there. So go ahead and join up. You can find a join link in the description of the podcast. In addition to that, we are streaming right now on Twitch. There are people here. They're live. There he is. Dale himself just popped in. Good to have you, Dale / Landon. But if you're not following us on Twitch, if you can find it in the goodness of your heart, we would appreciate it. We stream every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. And we are officially moving the podcast to Thursday nights, which means Sussy Baka Sunday is back on Sunday nights with Sea of Thieves. And in addition to that, I also wanted to shout out, Randy makes great short form video game content, reviews, thoughts about games, not necessarily, anyway, it's game stuff. And it's short form
reviews,
content.
discussions.
News, reviews, discussions. I just couldn't get there. But it's on TikTok, it's on YouTube, it's on Instagram, it's wherever the hell it needs to be. So go throw a follow.
all the places you find short form. I'm gonna try to do more long form. I've got a long form review of Silent Hill 2 that is essentially finished. It's got to put the last final touches on the edit, so that'll be coming soon. In the meantime, I got more videos coming this weekend for Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom. One of those will be posted on Saturday. So,
Yeah.
Also, guys, if you would like more of the Game and Gig podcast, I want to let you guys know that YouTube members do get a bonus video every week. So if you'd like to get access to that bonus video, check out the join button. It's like next to the subscribe button. If you're on mobile on iPhone, it may not be there. We found out. You may have to go on a browser if you want to become a member.
Yep. But today on the bonus episode, we're going to be talking about how Final Fantasy is apparently going to be releasing on Xbox as well as PlayStation in the future. We're also going to be talking about a random Death Stranding Xbox release as well. So some Xbox games. What's up with that? Xbox and games? Better join.
All right, y'all. Well, I guess we're at the end of here. So until next time, I'm Randy.
And I'm Daniel.
And this has been Game and Gig.
Peace out.